tune this time that's very interesting. It was written by Percy Wenrich in 1904, entitled Noodles, a ragtime German intermezzo. Another tune by Percy Wenrich, this time written in 1912, entitled Moonlight Bay. If you care to join in, please do. We were sailing along on Moonlight Bay. You could hear the voices singing. They seemed to say, you were stolen my heart, now don't go away. As we sang love's old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay. Banjo strum, tuning while the moonbeams play. Yet all alone at night they'll find me memories like these remind me of the girls I've left behind me. Down on Moonlight Bay we were sailing along on Moonlight Bay. You could hear the voices singing. They seemed to say, you stole my heart, now don't go away. As we sang love's old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay. As we sang love's old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay. I had the good pleasure of meeting Percy Wenrich twice, actually. Once casually in the lobby of the Sheraton Hotel in New York, Sheraton West. And the other time I went up for an interview. I had a half an hour. Percy suffered from dropsy, a disease called dropsy, and he had a nurse that was there with him all the time. And it took me almost 6 months before I could get this appointment. It was on a Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock. And I got up there at 12, right on the button, they let me in the place, and I started asking all these questions about Moonlight Bay and the tune I put on your old gray bonnet, and how I got around to writing that. And a place called Dover was very close to the Kansas border, right outside of Joplin, going west. And went there and found the town after he described where it was. It was gone, but it was, you could see all the foundations in it. But at about 20 after 12 o'clock, and I still had 10 more minutes to go on my interview. Fortunately, I recorded this thing. Why, there was a knock on the door, and there was the head bellman. And he said, "Mr. Wenrich, you're wanted downstairs." So that terminated the interview. So I tagged right along. The nurse put a shawl over him. They had him in a wheelchair and took him down. And there was the American Legion band getting ready for a parade, and they serenaded him right out in front of the hotel, playing many of his songs. "Put on your old gray bonnet," "When you wore a tulip and I wore a big red rose," "Sweet cider time when you were mine," "Where do we go from here, boys?" All this stuff, and it was really quite touching. So the interview was great, and I still have the tape with the tag on there from the band playing and stuff. I thought it was quite novel to have be so well liked that the band would pull us in their march efforts to serenade this man. Well, Percy Wenrich was one of many, and when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time looking these men up. For some reason, I missed Jimmy Scott, but we've treated him well since then, and working hard on treating Arthur Marshall as well, though I did get to meet him. But here's a tune by a guy named Joe Jordan, who was a real interesting fellow. He wrote the Tease and Rag, which was Nick LaRocca of the original Dixieland band. Later on put out a tune called the original Dixieland One Step, and he borrowed the trio from Joe's Tease and Rag. Tease and Rag came out in 1909. It was made popular, the lyrics were added in 1910, and Blossom Seeley on Broadway was the gal that sang it. And in 1917, Nick LaRocca wrote the original Dixieland One Step, borrowed the trio. In 1922, after Victor Gramophone and Talking Machine Company had published the album of four records with the original Dixieland band, why, Joe sued him. And every year he put money in. It cost him about $100 every year to keep that suit going. Well, it was about 20 years ago, and it was Thanksgiving Day, and I was saying, "Joe, why do you keep putting $100 in every year for this?" I said, "You think you're gonna win it?" He says, "I'm not leaving this earth until I get my money." And I always thought that was a great line, because on that day, a special delivery letter came from RCA Victor, who now owned Victor Gramophone and Talking Machine Company, and he received $75,000 in back royalties. Plus, he made up put 1,000 copies of music. It accompanied the letter, which all said the original Dixieland One Step with the main theme, the trio from Joe Jordan's Tease and Rag. So he got his money, and then he died. But anyway, "You're not going out of my money," says Joe. I'll tell you one other instance, not to bend your ear here, but when we made the record of the Golden Reunion in Ragtime, Fletcher Smith at the studio where they were recording Woody Woodbury and a few others, and Gypsy Rose Lee and a few other people, and we were all there because the men were black and there was no place for them to go to a decent restaurant to get anything to eat, but everything was catered in. And one day Joe was standing at the counter, and we had the tapes running. Nobody's paying any attention, but the tape was running anyway. And Joe's standing there, he says, "Eubie?" He says, "Where's the knife for the mustard?" And Eubie says, "I don't know, Joe. I don't know where any knife for the mustard." He said, "Hey, Charlie Thompson, where's the knife for the mustard?" And Charlie said, "Look at Joe, I don't know where any knife for the mustard." And then afterwards, Joe says, "Damn, if a fight broke out in here, there'd be knives all over this place." Beautiful. Yeah, Joe wrote a lot of tunes like "Brother-in-Law Dan, you make love much better than your brother Joe can." I might do that for you if you'd like. And the other one was the Tease and Rag, and another one was Lovey Joe. He wrote any number of tunes, but this is the Tease and Rag. 1909, lyrics in 1910.